Well, not surprisingly, Donald Trump's cabinet nominees are, of course, no surprise here, drowning in sex scandals, which Donald Trump seems to see as a qualification for a Trump nominee instead of a reason for the Senate to vote against his nominees. Donald Trump is asking the Republican Senate to confirm the worst cabinet nominees in history, the most unqualified cabinet nominees in history. And we will find out in January if enough Republican senators are willing to do that. The first thing Donald Trump asked Republican senators to do after the election was to stop the confirmation process of federal judges nominated by Joe Biden. And Republican senators have made no attempt at all to do what Donald Trump told them to do.
We'll begin today by voting on the confirmation of Embry Kidd to serve as Circuit Court Judge for the 11th Circuit.
That's today. So the business of confirming federal judges continued today without the slightest controversy about the background of the Biden nominees.
Tonight, I'll file on additional judges who will move forward on this floor this week. We also have several nominees coming out of the Judiciary Committee on Thursday, and we'll work quickly to move them out of this chamber and onto the bench. So let me repeat. The Senate is going to keep prioritizing judicial and administrative confirmations this week, this month, and for the rest of the year.
Not a single senator demanding to see any reports about the Biden nominees committing statutory rape or possibly raping a married woman in a hotel room after drugging her and then paying her off. The ethical background of the Biden nominees is flawless. But in January, the Senate confirmation process will become a cesspool thanks to Donald Trump and his choices for Attorney General and Secretary of Defense. It has long been known that former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who resigned from the House just last week, has been under investigation for sex with minors and illicit drug use. But we learned Saturday that Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Defense, weekend Fox host Pete Hegseth, has been accused of rape, the kind of thing Donald Trump bragged about himself on the Access Hollywood video when he said, when you're a celebrity, they let you do it. The House Ethics Committee, which has 5 Democratic members and 5 Republican members, is scheduled to meet on Wednesday to vote on releasing their report about Matt Gaetz. Donald Trump has asked the Speaker of the House to prevent that report from being made public. And the Republican Speaker of the House, who presents himself as a very devout Christian, reeking of rectitude, has decided to publicly agree with Donald Trump that the Ethics Committee report about Matt Gaetz possibly committing statutory rape and paying for sex should be suppressed. No one should ever see that report. That is the official position of Donald Trump and the Republican Speaker of the House. But the same senators who completely ignored Donald Trump's order to them to prevent Chuck Schumer from confirming any more Biden judges are not ready to suppress that report.
Should the House Ethics Committee release that report, Senator?
Absolutely. And I believe the Senate should have access to that.
That's Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. Here is Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn, who is a senior member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which will hold a confirmation hearing for Matt Gaetz if his nomination makes it that far in the process.
The fact of the matter is, whether we get the ethics report or not, the facts are going to come out one way or the other. And I would think it would be in everybody's best interest, including the president's, not to be surprised by some information that might come out during the confirmation hearing and the background check. So we're going to do our job and under the Constitution, and in the process, I believe, provide the president some assurance that he knows exactly what the facts are about each of his nominees.
An attorney for 2 young women who were witnesses in the House Ethics Committee investigation of Matt Gaetz told NBC News' Hallie Jackson about their testimony.
What did your client witness at this party?
She was walking outside to the pool, and she observed to her right her friend, who was 17 at the time, having sex with Representative Gates. They were leaned up to what she described to as a game table of some type.
Did your client believe that Gates at the time knew that her friend was underage?
Yeah, so the House was curious about that. She testified that her belief was that Representative Gates had no knowledge that she was under 18, that she was 17 years old at the time he was having sex with her. She also testified that when Representative Gates found out that she was underage, that they stopped their sexual relationship and did not resume it until after she turned 18.
The Department of Justice declined to prosecute Matt Gates for these allegations. So how should people square that decision with everything that you've laid out here today?
Whether or not a federal prosecutor takes a case and decides to move forward on a trial or move forward on an allegation is that particular prosecutor's decision. It doesn't mean they didn't do it.
The federal prosecutor was studying the possibility of sex trafficking in that investigation. In the state of Florida, under state law, sex with a girl under the age of 18 is statutory rape. That is what Matt Gaetz stands accused of in that Ethics Committee report that Donald Trump is trying to suppress. The Washington Post broke the news that after Donald Trump chose Fox weekend host Pete Hegseth for his Secretary of Defense, the Trump transition team then received a 4-page memo claiming that Pete Hegseth raped a woman in 2017 during the California Federation of Republican Women Conference in Monterey, California. This is the same Pete Hegseth who, during his first marriage, started an affair that became his second marriage, during which he started an affair at work that became his third marriage. The Washington Post reports that memo claims that Pete Hegseth, quote, paid a woman who accused him of sexual assault as part of a non-disclosure agreement, though he maintained that their encounter was consensual, according to a statement from his lawyer Saturday and other documents obtained by the Washington Post. Hegseth's attorney, Timothy Parlatore, said that Hegseth was visibly intoxicated at the time of the incident and maintained that police who were contacted a few days after the encounter by the woman concluded that the complainant had been the aggressor in the encounter. Police have not confirmed that assertion. Hegseth agreed to pay an undisclosed amount to the woman because he feared that revelation of the matter would result in his immediate termination from Fox, where he worked as a host, the statement said. Of course, Donald Trump approves of paying women for their silence about sex in hotel rooms, since Donald Trump has admitted to doing exactly that himself with Stormy Daniels. The Washington Post says that the victim's responsibilities at the conference Pete Hegseth attended were to, quote, make sure Hegseth made it back to his room and left in time the next morning for the 90-minute drive to the airport, the memo said. At some point in the evening, the complaint alleged, Jane Doe received a text from 2 women at the bar who told her that Hegseth was getting pushy about his interest in taking them upstairs to his room. Jane Doe, who was nearby, came over and talked to those 2 women, and after they left, she remembered sensing that Hegseth was irritated, the memo said. According to the memo, Jane Doe didn't remember anything until she was in Hegseth's hotel room and then stumbling to find her hotel room. The memo said that her memory of 6 to 9 hours was very hazy and that her husband was searching for her and was relieved when she finally showed up. The following day, the woman returned home and had a moment of hazy memory of being raped the night before and had a panic attack, the memo said. The woman then went to the emergency room where she received a rape kit examination that was positive for semen, the memo said. The woman gave county authorities a statement about what happened, according to the memo sent to the Trump transition team. In a statement, the Monterey Police Department confirmed that they had, quote, investigated an alleged sexual assault that occurred in 2017 between 8:59 p.m. on October 7th and 7 a.m. on October 8th at the Hyatt Regency Monterey Hotel, and that the victim had, quote, contusions to right thigh. Donald Trump's communications director issued a statement saying President Trump is nominating high caliber and extremely qualified candidates to serve in his administration. Mr. Hegseth has vigorously denied any and all accusations, and no charges were filed. We look forward to his confirmation.